It's my pleasure to welcome to the stage our first Tech Talk speaker, Dr. Missy Stults, Sustainability and Improvements Manager for the City of Ann Arbor. Missy works with all city operations, residents and businesses, the University of Michigan, nonprofits, and others to make Ann Arbor one of the most sustainable and equitable cities in America and to implement the A2ZERO Carbon Neutrality Plan. Welcome, Missy.
Thanks, Paul. Good morning! How are we doing, everybody? Woo! We're here. Tech Talk is finally here, and I'm so excited to be with you, both in person and virtually. My name is Missy Stults, and I'm going to start with a little story. At the age of 25, I was in a high-pressure, yet exhilarating job. I was working with other 20 and 30-somethings, and we were supporting communities around the nation on the front lines of the climate crisis. It was phenomenal. In one moment, I was working with the city of Boston, helping them create their very first sustainable procurement policy. The next, I was working with Los Angeles, helping them capture their climate pollution and calculate it. And in the next, I was helping the small town of Lewis, Delaware, become the first community to integrate climate change into their hazard mitigation planning. It was a dream. It was also not what I thought I would be doing with my life. So let me start by just kind of clearing the air really quick. How many of you, via a show of hands, have heard of climate change? Right. Keep your hand up if you're worried about climate change. And keep your hand up if you've taken an action in your life to address the climate crisis. Awesome. Thank you all for sharing. I'm not surprised that this is an advanced audience. When we look across the country, what we know is that Americans are getting more concerned about climate change, and that makes sense, because the impacts of climate change are here and on our doorstep, and they're dire. Whether that's sea level rise and coastal erosion, tropical storms and hurricanes that are more frequent and intense, heat waves that are sweeping across the country combined with humidity that are taking the lives of our elderly, our young, and our vulnerable populations, changing precipitation patterns causing droughts in wide swaths of our country, or increasing rain here, causing localized flooding that many of us experience pretty frequently. And that's not even mentioning things like massive and unprecedented species loss, declining crops and agricultural production, mass migration and political unrest. So you're right, climate change is pretty dire, and it's something to worry about. In fact, it can be so worrying that many people simply shut down when they hear about the climate crisis. We tend to think it's just too big. I can't make an impact. I can't influence this global problem. Well, I'm here today to tell you that's wrong, because you can make a difference. In fact, we caused the climate crisis as a species, and we can address it. But the only way we're gonna do that is via an all-hands-on-deck approach. All of us need to be part of the movement to stop climate change and build a more livable, equitable, and sustainable future for all, and we're gonna do it. Now, I just quickly wanna emphasize for those who may not be super familiar, what's happening is human actions are causing climate pollution, which is creating a thickening blanket around our planet. And that blanket is warming the planet, and it's warming us, and it's causing the climate impacts. The good news, we cause that climate pollution. We can stop causing that climate pollution. That's good news, right? We can do something about it. And the first thing we have to do is act. We have to act together. And as a slightly modified Chinese proverb saying goes, the best time to act was yesterday. The next best time is today. So what are we waiting for? This is our moment to be part of the movement. But if you remember, I started the talk by saying I didn't actually plan to work on climate change. I wanted to study humpback whales. These amazing, majestic megafauna captivated me, and I was determined that I was gonna be the marine biologist that broke the language barrier between our two species, right? How many of you thought you would study some sort of marine life? Like, this is a common childhood fantasy. Oh, no, not many of you. Okay, well, I was gonna do this. Like, this was my path. So imagine my surprise when I'm in school, I'm in my third year, and I'm in a required environmental ethics course. So I walk into the class, and we're talking about the ethics of climate change. And in that class, before the very first session ended, I knew I wasn't becoming a marine biologist. Because I learned that climate change was going to impact every single thing that I cared about. My family, my friends, my hometown, those glorious marine animals I thought I was going to spend my life studying and working with, my future. How could I not work on the most pressing issue of my time? I didn't want to be honest with you. I really did want to be a marine biologist, but I saw no other path forward. I had to work on this issue. And I switched career paths, and when I did so, I actually found my life's purpose. Now, I'm not asking any of you to change your career paths today, although if you want to, I'll be in the back. We are hiring at the city, so I'm excited to work with you. Assuming that you don't, what I am asking of you today is to leverage your ingenuity, your creativity, your purpose, your passion, your networks, your connections to become part of the climate movement. And that could look a lot of different ways. Perhaps you're working on an electrified transportation future for us. I challenge you to make sure equity and justice are at the center of that movement, and to make sure that our mobility is powered with renewable energy. Or maybe you're helping us develop new power electronics so that microgrids can scale faster. Or maybe you're working on battery technology so that it can become more economical, helping open up resilience features to more and more people across the country. Or maybe you'll invest in a neighborhood resilience hub, helping ensure that your neighbors build social cohesion and are able to take care of each other every single day, including during disasters. Or maybe you're working on software applications that will help us develop deeper and thicker networks around reuse so that the dream of a circular economy can actually manifest. The point is, the movement needs you. Whatever it is that you do, you have something special to give to the movement, and I hope you'll join us within it. Now, I want to share a saying with you that motivates me, and you can perceive it as negative and positive, but this is something that I sit with every day. I am of the first generation to feel the impacts of climate change. I am also the last generation that can do anything about it. That is overwhelming. And that is a gift because we have time. This is the moment in which we can all take action. And that's what we're going to do together. Now, I, like many of you, am a parent. I happen to be the mother to a precocious, smart, empathetic, caring 6-year-old daughter. Now, my dreams for her more broadly, focus on ensuring she has a safe, vibrant, and healthy life, right? What all parents want for their kids. So I mentioned she's 6. Now, some of you may know the City of Ann Arbor has set a goal, audacious goal, of being carbon neutral in a just and equitable way by the year 2030. It's called A2ZERO. 2030 is 9 years from now. Now, that may seem like a really long time. In 9 years, my daughter will be 15. For those of you who follow the climate science, you may know that the international community has established scientifically that we have to get climate pollution to 0 by the year 2050 in order to avoid the most catastrophic and irreversible impacts of climate change. In 2050, she will be 35. That is younger than I am right now. Her entire life has been shaped by climate change. Her entire future, as well as that of her cousins, will be defined by the actions we take or choose not to take. If that's not motivation, I'm not sure what is. So let me end by making a request. I ask all of you to be part of the movement to address the most pressing issue of our time, climate change. Join us at the City of Ann Arbor by having your organization becoming an A2ZERO collaborator. Maybe you personally want to join us as an A2ZERO ambassador. Ask your company to become carbon neutral. Question where your investments and retirements go. Are you investing in companies that protect our planet and our future, or that extract from our future? Make sure your elected leaders know where you stand on climate change, that it's not an optional issue. Talk to your friends, your family, and your neighbors about climate change. Or just come talk to me after, because the movement needs you. And in the end, we, as a species, caused the climate crisis. But we, together, can address it. So join us in the movement. Thanks.